A very successful meeting with the Chief Minister. We're both agreed that the right thing for Gibraltar is to stay in the EU. It's the right thing for Britain too. And the big question in British politics is, can we hold a second referendum with an option to remain? I strongly support a second referendum with an option to remain. And the Labour Party's position is that any deal from this government will go to a referendum with an option to remain.
Well, earlier in the year you were quoted as saying don't vote for Labour if you want Brexit. Is that still where the party stands? Are you firmly a Remain party now?
Labour is the party that will deliver Remain, because only with Labour's backing is there a majority in the House of Commons for a second referendum. Once we've got that majority, we will back Remain in a referendum. The overwhelming majority of Labour Party members and Labour Party members of Parliament support Britain's continued membership of the European Union. And part of the reason why is we want good relations with our European partners. We don't want to be at loggerheads with Spain, France, Germany. We want cordial, close relations, and in particular we want open borders so we can trade freely. 14,000 people come across the border to Gibraltar every day to work. We want that to continue. We want the economy to flourish.
Well, you mentioned they're cross-frontier workers, so do you have your ear to the ground as it pertains to Gibraltar issues? What would you say are the most pressing issues for the ROC?
The critical thing for Gibraltar is that we stay in the European Union so that the border is open, we have a free flow of goods and people across it, and we don't play fast and loose with the prosperity and the security of Gibraltarians. Labour will not do that. We will stand by their right to have a second referendum. We will back Remain in that referendum. People can have confidence that Labour will deliver for the cause of staying in the European Union.
And do you think a second referendum is realistically achievable?
There's a famous Sherlock Holmes story that says after the impossible options have been eliminated, you're just left with the improbable, which must be the truth. The impossible are being eliminated. No deal, Theresa May's deal, other versions of a deal that are pure unicorns. What we're left with now is a referendum with an option to remain, and I believe that will now happen.
So was there a takeaway from your meeting today with the Chief Minister?
Well, firstly, it's good to be back in Gibraltar, and secondly, we obviously had a conversation about the current situation, and the important thing for us was to get over to the Chief Minister how much we support Gibraltar, and secondly, how much we are determined that Gibraltar's position will be protected by us campaigning for remaining in the European Union through a referendum in the UK and here as well.
Well, in the recent UK Council elections held just last week, it was a poor showing for both Labour and the Conservatives, a sort of Brexit backlash where other parties, the Greens and the Liberal Democrats, picked up seats. So will this upcoming European elections be a referendum on where your party, for example, stands?
Well, that's part of why we think it's really important to have been here, so we can speak directly to the people of Gibraltar to say, look, if you want that change, there is realistically only one route through which that change can be delivered, and it is through the Labour Party. And spectacularly, not just for the people of Gibraltar, but also it's about beating that Farage point, about beating the Brexit Party as well, because the reaction from the EU 27, if Farage wins those elections, will also be a problem for us as well. So that in part is why the Labour Party needs the votes here as well as in the southwest of England. But again, it's that delivery point. Again, it's the point that only the Labour Party can deliver that result.
Can you understand why some might be sceptical or a little bit confused? Because Labour said for many months, if not over the course of the last 3 years, indeed over the course of the last election, that it would respect the result of the referendum. But now we're hearing that it's all about a referendum and an anti-Brexit party, essentially. Is that where Labour stands? Has the tune changed?
We've had the referendum policy since conference last year. We've had a referendum in our policy since then as well. That part was reaffirmed at the Labour Party executive meeting last week as well. But it is that point about, the difficulties sometimes of having Leave MPs or MPs in Leave constituencies, but look at our actions. Look at, firstly, the fact that we have had those 3 votes in support of a referendum in the House of Commons, where we have whipped in support of that vote. And secondly, the impossibility of delivering a deal that actually does not harm people. And I am just like all other Labour politicians. I came into politics to stand up for people's interests, to protect their rights and their economic, their jobs and all of that. And that is not something that can be done through Brexit. And now the impossibility of Brexit is becoming more and more apparent. So we're asking for people's votes because of a strong voice for Gibraltar, but also because it is only the Labour Party that can deliver that change that we need to see. And it has been my privilege for the last 5 years to be able to represent Gibraltar, and I hope to continue to be able to do that after these elections. And I am grateful for having had the chance to do that up to now as well. And the Brexit is number one issue. The border, part of that is Brexit, but we know we've had those issues for years now, and so it's an ongoing issue. And having that relationship, being it within the European Union, is what has helped us. So, that's front and centre.